Dear viewers, wherever you are, hello and welcome to this new episode of your program, Love Spectra. The time machine has always been a dream for humans since the dawn of time. Being able to go back in time and undo things that were not very pleasant in your personal life or in the history of humanity. Another reason why people would like to go back in time is to find out what great men or women did in the past history, or to, delve deeper into the crypts of history and find out if what they believe about something is true or not. In the modern times, going back in time or the time machine has been a very famous movie, and we had several movies throughout the years in black and white, in color, and using all the very modern sound and visual effects about people traveling throughout time. But until now, it's still just a fiction, still a dream. In psychology, there is something called past life regression, and it's usually done through hypnosis. And of course, the scientific part will be clarified by my guest tonight. How true is it? Is it a fact or myth? Is it something that your brain just creates? Is your brain playing games with you, mind games with you, or is it a real fact? And if it's a real fact, then how much would that affect you? And to go deeper into this topic, I'm really delighted to be accompanied tonight by my usual and very special guest, Odis Nasser, who's the clinical counseling hypnotherapist. Odis, hello and welcome to the program.
Hi, how are you, Muhammad?
Fine,
Happy
thanks, as yourself.
New Year.
Happy New Year to you. I hope everything will be very pleasant for you during this new year. And to start off, like past life regression or regressing, going back in life.
Mhm.
At the very beginning, in very simple English, what is this? What is this in like to the layman, to a common viewer?
It just means I help the client go back into their past life. We have many lives, so they tap into one of the lives that they've had to see if they brought back anything from that life into this life, blocks them from finding happiness or hinder them from improving. That's the simplest way to explain it. Just going back to one of the lives that they had, that they brought back something that is still blocking them in this life.
Okay, and this will, bring up the other question: is there a spiritual or a religious background to this? Because in the Far Eastern beliefs, like in Buddhism, Hinduism, there is the karma, there's the nirvana. So there are different cycles of many lives. So you leave one life and you enter another. You may become a more superior or a more inferior being according to your deeds in the former life. So is there any relationship between this kind of scientific or psychological view and Far Eastern religions, belief in like a karma?
Well, the whole concept of past life regression has been rooted in the Eastern religion, in Buddhism, before anything. It's called samsara. Samsara meaning getting the wheel of life. You always get reincarnated until you have learned your lesson. And ideally, in their view, in their philosophy, is that you don't want to come back to this life because you are brought to this life to suffer. This is the suffering. Hell is life. In samsara, meaning get reborn again until you keep your lesson.
Exactly.
Ideally, yeah, the ideal, I forgot the name of it, when you reach
So it's
light.
nirvana. You'd have the nirvana. Yeah.
Nirvana. Nirvana is, that's it. You're done. You're not longer coming back to earth. So this has been in the Buddhist philosophy and the Indian culture and in China from long time ago, thousands of years ago. However, Carl Jung, he was very spiritual. He was a student of Sigmund Freud. He was very spiritual. So when he started doing psychology, he traveled. He went to India, he went to China, and he studied Buddhism. He studied all of the stuff, and he brought it in as a way of helping a client in psychology. So he kind of combined the philosophy of the ancient wisdom, brought it into psychology as a way of helping a client or patient to find the root cause of their suffering. And it became like, got coined more in the Western civilization, just in the 50s. Before that, the Western society didn't believe in it. So it's still kind of new. People believe in it 50-50. When somebody comes in, I don't offer, like when people come in and ask for it, most of the time they believe it. It is something they believe. So if the client believes in it, it's great. It's a very good tool to tap in and finding the root cause of your problem. When it comes to psychology, it is not listed on the APA, the American Psychological Association, as a treatment, as a scientific treatment. It is not. However, it is listed as a good way to help a client find the root cause of their problem. So there's no science evidence of it being a treatment, but there is science of it being a good resolution for a client. Like it does help the client find an answer. You know what I mean? It's not like listed on the list. Yeah, but it is there listed. It's like, yeah, you know what? It has benefits. Whether 50-50, a chance of, I've had agnostics, I have people from different beliefs that come in when they don't have any faith of it at all, but they're in a despair. They are in a despair. They're sitting there like, I am completely blocked with this. I don't know where it is. And I don't offer it. We will be like doing some past life. We will be doing hypnosis. And their subconscious takes them to a past life. And they're like, where did that come from? I'm like, I don't know. Your subconscious took you there. I just opened you up. Sometimes their subconscious takes them there and they find the answer. And they're like, I don't believe in it. I'm like, it doesn't matter. You found the answer.
I totally understand what you're saying here. Yeah, and before going deeper into the techniques here, I want to ask you, like you said, there are many past lives according to this technique, even like setting aside, the spiritual or religious beliefs, but according to even the view or the psychological view of this past life regression, there are many different lives. So is there a number of lives or is it just infinite?
Apparently it's infinite, and you will go to the life that it's needed at that time based on what your issue is that day. So let's say today you come in, you have a block with love life. I don't know. So you're in my office and literally I say, let's go and pick a life. And then I'm not going to go through how I take you there. And you are now in a life where you were betrayed and love and trauma and all this stuff. And then you find the answer, you're like, I know what happened. Like I've always had a trust issue. That's where my issue is. And that's why I'm not successful in this life. Come in tomorrow. Maybe it's a different issue you have. Maybe something to do with betrayal. Then we end up in a different life because your subconscious knows which life to pick based on whatever issue you have. I did have 2 clients where we're in a session, they went into 9 different past lives. 9. They were jumping between life to another life to another life, but there was one pattern between all of them.
Okay.
Your subconscious was trying to say, and the good thing about it is I don't tell them what they pick. And I ask them, what did you notice? So, same pattern. I was doing the same thing in every life. So somehow the answer was like, I am doing the same thing in this life too.
Okay. Again, before digging deeper here, but you said that they jumped through 9 lives here. So the hypnotherapist, to what extent do they induce this movement from one life to another? Like, do you sort of manipulate that or not at all?
Here's the skill. Here's what I tell people to be careful, because I hope people listen to this. There are a lot of people who practice past life regression, but they're not hypnotherapists. They're not professionals. They didn't go and get a master's degree in psychology. There's anybody who can go on Udemy, they can go to an online class and they call themselves hypnotherapists. That term hypnotherapist is coined. You cannot do it unless you have a license. But there's hypnotists, there's people who are spiritual healers, there's those psychics who claim that they do it, which they could. I'm not putting them down, but they're not trained to do it professionally. So, for instance, when you're in hypnosis, we have to be completely, it's called free association. We have to back away and let you process everything on your own. You have to experience it on your own without putting any keywords. For example, when I am in a past life, I take you to a past life, I will never say the word, what do you see? Just asking this question, I just implanted an idea to look.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to be careful what words to say, what questions to use, what triggers to use, because we don't want to at all impact you. I don't use the word see or hear. I just say, what do you sense?
Mm-hmm.
Tell me what's happening.
So when you say, what do you sense? So do you go there with your full 5 or 6 senses in this past life? So do you touch, do you taste, do you smell?
Everybody
And plus see and hear?
Everybody is different. Some people see it like when I was training, my sense was stronger with my nose. The first thing I smelled was me. I smelled the area around me. I'm like, and I was a poor man. I remember I was like a beggar. And I remember when I went into that past life, I'm like, what the hell is that smell? And my practitioner who was practicing, she was like, what do you smell? I'm like, I smell something. I'm like, oh my God, it's me. I was able to smell. My sense was smell. And I saw my life in 3D. Like I saw colors and everything. Everything was 3D that's how I experienced my world. Because remember, everybody sees things differently. I have a client who didn't see anything. She says, I just feel like I'm a man. I feel that I am a boy who I feel. That's how she sensed it. She just sensed her reaction. Some people don't see it like this. They're like, yeah, I see myself. That's me. I know that's me there. Like I'm watching, kind of sitting in a movie. Some people see it black and white. Some people see it in colors. Some people don't see, they just feel. Some people hear. I was able to hear, I can hear my footsteps in one of the lives. The first thing I was hearing my footsteps walking. And I'm like, I can hear footsteps and I can hear rain. So it depends how you experience your world. It's like a dream. Some people see dreams black and white. Some people get.
So you would it's a very special kind of reincarnation here it's more like an avatar. It's more like you would find yourself inside a different body too. So like the vehicle, the vessel that really carries you in every life might be different. So in one life, you might have a different gender. In another life, you'll have a different color of skin. You might have a different language even. So it's not reincarnation like you're not you, but in a different life, you can be in a different body too as well. Am I correct here?
I've seen people were giants. I've had few people that were from another universe. Some people were aliens. Some people were energy form before the whole universe was built. It was very interesting. I'm like, what do you notice? They're like, I don't know. I don't see hands. I don't see feet. I'm like, are you male, female? It took me an hour to figure out what it is. And we found out she was a light. She just lights.
Okay.
Big bang. And I had a guy who was a snake. I'm like, what are you? He's like, I don't know, but I'm hungry. I'm like, okay, what else? He's like, there's a bird. I'm hungry. I want to eat that bird. I'm like, okay, so he has sensation. Obviously, he is a thing. And I couldn't figure out what it is. He couldn't figure out what it was. He's like, I want to eat that bird. And he was hungry. His stomach started growling. And I said, well, can you move? He's like, yeah, I can move, but I have no feet, but I can crawl. I'm like, okay, where are you? Well, I'm a tree. And he's like, oh, my tongue is, I'm a snake. I'm like, okay, he's a snake. I mean, it was mind-boggling that he was a snake. That was very unique to me, but there was a reason why he was seen as a snake. There was a pattern that he picked up, right? His subconscious showed him that he was a snake. some people are, and we never know which part of your past life you're going to end up. Like sometimes you may be in a past life in your death scene.
Wow.
Or
Okay.
like one girl was like, I don't know, it's all dark. I don't see anything. I'm like, maybe she's blocked. She's like, no, but I can feel like there's something around me. There's something around, but I'm choking. And she started choking. Through the probing, we found out she was dying. She had sunk in a ship.
Oh.
So
okay.
her first scene was with her drowning. And imagine trying to explain what's happening. She has consciousness, but she's like, there's water and I don't understand anything. It's all dark.
So let's say you found something very intriguing or very, interesting in a past life. Would it be possible for you to return back to this life at will? Like if I, for instance, if in one of my past lives I was a Roman soldier, for instance, and I like this life very much, or there is something I was curious about in this life, can I come back to you and can you return me back again to the same life, or it's not always possible?
It is, but it's hard to do self-hypnosis on yourself. You need to have somebody outside, unless you're a Buddhist monk who is living in a monastery and you can meditate hours, you can hypnotize yourself.
But I mean, you as a specialist, you can bring me back again to the same life I was in before?
If you want, but I don't control where your subconscious takes you. Only you can control your subconscious. So I will take you, if you say, Odysseus, I want to continue with that part. I want to visit that part. I can try, but when I try to take you there, they say, I don't know why I'm not there. I'm somewhere else. I cannot control that. Your subconscious takes you somewhere else. I cannot stop that.
So, yeah, please go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it depends what you need. Because remember, your subconscious knows what you need, not me, not you. Even consciously, you think you know. Subconscious knows. My job is to numb your conscious. Subconscious takes over, takes you, or your spiritual guide. If you're spiritual, I'll use the term that the client uses. If the client says, "Oh, my guide wants me to go there," I'm like, okay, so your guide will decide. If somebody who's more free thinker will say, I want to see where my subconscious takes me, we'll go there. But if you want to go, you can always say, I want to go back to that life. I've had clients, because there's two parts of past life. There's one where you experience a whole life, and normally we end it when you die to see what the life lessons were. And there is part two, which is where you go when you die. There's a spiritual element, the spiritual realm, the heavens, where we go. So sometimes people, they want to do it like together. So that's like a 4-hour session. They come in, we do one past life, we experience the whole life, death scene, where they go, another 2 hours. And sometimes they come in for one past life, and then a week or two later they come in and they want to do the spiritual life. So we end up going back to try to take them back to life, but the death scene, like start from you have to experience when your soul left the body to see where you go.
So when I go through a whole past life, is it like time lapse? Is it fast forward? Like
I try to take you, I try to help. If you've never done it before, I try to take you to visit at least like childhood, family, an important event, a happy event, a sad event, love event.
Sort of like cornerstones, like, or like landmarks in my life.
Yeah, like things that had impact on you. So always childhood, there's an impact. Your family has an impact. There's always a love story. There's always a lesson learned. There's always things that like how you died is very interesting. How you were killed or how you died. Did you die natural cause or not? But sometimes I don't go and take you there. I just say, okay, 3, 2, 1, and go. And I just click my finger, and then they're like, oh, I'm at my wedding. They just go. I just count and I snap my finger, and somehow they're there. Like, I don't know, I'm in a wedding now. Oh, now they tell me what's going on, and then yeah, and then I'm like, okay, let's visit another scene. Let's visit another event from that life that's important to you. And 3, 2, 1, and I snap my finger, like, oh, now I'm a child. I'm in my high school. I'm being bullied. So I ask them, like, where do you want to go? When they're done the scene, would you like to visit another scene? Yeah, okay, let's go. Where do you want to go? Oh, I would like to meet my family. Okay, 3, 2, 1, go. And they're there, like instantly.
Okay.
So sometimes they go back and forth. Sometimes they, I, I had a client in the past life. The first one, it was he died through birth.
Wow.
He's like, oh, I'm dead. I'm like, well, he's like, I was just born and I died. I'm like, oh, okay, that was a short ending. Okay, let's try a different life. He's like, I don't know what the hell with that. I'm like, oh, don't ask me. Your subconscious showed you that. It was interesting. He's like, oh, I'm alive. Oh, I'm dead. So I'm like, oh, poor guy.
And is everybody ready for this past life regression, or are some people like totally away from it? Like, is it possible for everyone to do it?
Yes, but I personally, from experience, will not offer it to someone who's never done hypnosis before, because your subconscious will not take you to a past life unless you clear the blockages in this life. There's no shortcut. A lot of people say, oh, I think I brought it from a past life. I'm like, your subconscious knows if there is some issues that you haven't dealt with in this life, it will stop you. It will not take you. It's like, you're not going back and come back and deal with this. You had issues in this life. You have to clear it first.
Okay.
So I would not allow it. But sometimes people come in, they want to do regular hypnosis and they end up in past life. I can't stop. Like, I don't control. I tell them, if you come in, it's 2 hours. It could go this way, it could go this way. But it doesn't matter where your subconscious takes you, just be open to it, because all I do is open it and you are in control where you go. And not everybody gets into it, Yani. I've had people who come in, they really have been with me for like years, and we've been doing hypnotherapy every month. And they're like, okay, you know what? I want to try past life. I'm like, great. They don't go through it. They're like, I don't know, because they don't believe it. It's not going to work. You have to have some kind of belief. It doesn't mean you have to believe in reincarnation, but you must have a belief in yourself, to trust yourself that there may be something and you are ready to face it.
And how does, like, you know, your past life experience? So let's say I'm now in a past life and I'm a soldier in the army, and then I get a fatal blow. How will this affect me, like the person who is with you in the clinic? How will this affect me when I see myself receiving this fatal blow? Do you have like sort of convulsions, or like sweating, or like somebody might scream out loud? Might they have fast heartbeats, high, like hypertension? What goes on? Like,
Sometimes I feel it. Depends. It depends how you died. So I had a guy who was a general in the Chinese army, and he was hit by one of his colleagues, like a betrayal, and he hit him by a spear. So we were not prepared for that scene. And when he hit him, he really screamed on the couch, and he fell off the couch. Because
wow, okay.
when you're in hypnosis, your subconscious thinks it's real, by the way, Yani. As you're dreaming, you don't know you're dreaming. So in your hypnosis, you think it's real. So when the guy was hit by the spear, he was like, and he fell. I'm like, what happened? He's like, I got hit by a spear. He didn't feel the pain. But if somebody is dying a natural death, like I'm taking you, like, oh, I'm, old, I'm in my bed, I know I'm dying, I'm sick, so I'm prepared. So I try to help you detach a little bit from your body so you can like watch it from outside, so you don't feel the death scene. But at one moment, sometimes I speed it up and I say, okay, now 3, 2, 1, you took your last breath.
Wow, okay.
No, I cannot control how you experience it, how you're seeing it. I did have a guy who fell off his horse. I remember, I would never forget that. He fell off his horse in his hypnosis, and he fell on his arm. And literally, it was summertime. He was wearing cut, and it became red. And he was screaming in pain. His shoulder, he's on my couch, but he was in pain. He was really in pain.
Yeah. And is there any possibility that I can go back in time in my life? So not in another life. Like, let's say somebody just lost a spouse, a parent, something like that, and they're really longing to be with them even for one more minute. Yes. Is there a possibility you can take them back?
Yes. It is. The word regression means going back. Yeah. So when you come in, nobody will take you right into past life. It doesn't. It has to go slowly, because we go layer by layer. Yani, it's like an iceberg. We have to go layer by layer. So normally when somebody comes in, we don't jump right into past life. I relax you. We do some meditation, some relaxation technique, and I follow your breath, and you're like there, and I check where you are. And then we start going back like, okay, remember yesterday. So what do you remember yesterday? A good, pleasant memory. So yesterday, like, oh, I remember cooking. Okay, let's go back a month ago. So you remember something. I let you enjoy that memory. Then we go back a year ago, 10 years ago. I go back. We have to slowly prep the subconscious to slowly open up the box. And then what happens is when I take you into that part where we're just about to go into a past life, I take you back to even your mother's womb. And I say, imagine go back to mother's womb and prepping you, because not only I am trying to open up slowly, I'm trying to make you trust yourself, because you have to trust yourself, right? You're like, okay, so far it's good. I'm able to remember. It gives me cues that you're remembering, right? That I'm okay. He's with me. The client is with me. He's remembering. Even if you don't remember, but you're getting some vivid images, it could be imagination. I'm good. Like, okay, he's with me. We're still on par. Then where the challenge is, that's where most hypnotherapists fail, is that when you're about to go into a past, to explain to the client, you don't jump into past life right away. In the beginning, when you're in the beginning of the past life, you may get images of things from this life, because there's a little bit of that like window opening. So if I'm going to a past life, I may see myself, let's say, in Barbados. I was there in 2008. And I'll say, okay, this is weird. I see myself in Barbados, but I know I was in Barbados in 2008. I have to stop thinking. The more I'm thinking, I'm going to wake up the conscious mind. I have to trust that I am going to start with some memories lingering from this life. Because once I say, okay, I prepare the client. I'm like, it's okay. In the beginning, you see some clues from this life, because it's like slowly you go back. So I'm in Barbados. Okay, all right. Okay, I'm a man. Okay, fine. All right, I'm in the hotel where I stayed. Okay. And then I go through the experience. I'm in the hotel, whatever. But before I know it, like a minute in, I'm like, what happened? I'm in the middle of a Greek war. You dive.
Okay, so it's your subconscious that's playing games with you, and it's sort of giving you sort of metaphors, maybe, like, yeah, it's just trying to send you messages in an indirect way. Now,
Slowly, because once you start thinking, you're like, oh, it doesn't make sense. I was I was there a couple of days ago. I was in the cowboy village, and I know I can see myself as a cowboy. Okay, these are scenes from this life. The more you think, the more you're going to kill the process. I say, just let it go. Like, just keep going. Don't think. Trust that process. That's where most people wake themselves up.
okay.
And that's when they say, oh, I went to hypnotherapy, it didn't do good. I'm like, it do with us. Yourself up, because that it doesn't go like boom. You have to go slowly, and then slowly, and then boom. And that boom, people start screaming. People like, what happened? Like, I see they're shocked. They're like, where am I? And things happen. They could be in the middle of the war. They could be, and it happened to every client. When they say, what happened? Or they scream or whatever. I'm like, oh, they're there.
So, like we see in a lot of horror movies, and even some people believe that.
Mhm.
Is there a possibility that your past life regression hypnosis might come to haunt you later on? So let's say that in one of my past lives, I met a demon, for instance, or like an evil entity.
Okay.
And would this come and haunt me in my current life?
Well, not through science, no. But what happens is once you experience past life regression, you have unlocked the black box of memories. So what happens is you may, for instance, not remember your name. Some people's like, I don't remember my name. But then after the session, 2 days later, they're driving and they're like, oh my God, I remember my name. Like, the memories can trigger any time. The patterns will start triggering anytime. Things you may be cooking and something happened, like, oh my God, I remember something. So these memories may trigger something. But I do know there is a psychiatrist who specializes with children. I forgot his name. Tucker, Jim Tucker. He's actually world-known psychiatrist who specializes in past regression. He's in New York. He was on Netflix too, I think. He studies children. I'm sorry, my cat is meowing.
Yeah, no worries.
Harry, maybe? Oh yeah, he's scratching the. See him? That's my new cat.
Yeah. Very cute.
Yeah, there we go. So what he did is he believes, and he found proof that, okay, yes, I know, that children have the most vivid past life memories because as children, you remember it. The older you get, the memories get dissolved.
Mm-hmm.
So he studies children and he wants to make sure that I don't know what's wrong with them. He wants to make sure that they are not tapered in, like the parents have not said anything to them or they haven't seen anything. So when the parents believe that there is something going on, because the child's like, it's not me, and they give the description, like there's one guy who was a kid, he's like, I remember how I died. He was 2 years old. He's like, I remember falling from a tower. There was a plane. He was talking about the 9/11. And he described how he died. He had a heart attack before he fell and what he was wearing. He talks about his family, his children. And the family is like, oh God, this guy is like 2 years old. How does he know this stuff?
So did you encounter ever, or did he encounter, or did any of the people who do past life regression hypnosis encounter an experience like this that, for example, so like in one of my past lives, I'm Chinese. And then all of a sudden, I speak Mandarin. So in this life, I don't know one word of Mandarin, but in the past life, I can speak Mandarin fluently. Would this ever happen, or you only speak your own language?
You only speak your language. I've never seen anybody speak some other language. I think there's one journalist who is my teacher, Georgina Cannon. I'm sure she's gonna watch. She talked about, there was a show on CBC, talked about a woman that was in her office who spoke a language in hypnosis, a dialect in India that's no longer used anymore at all. Like it's been gone 400 years ago.
Yeah.
And the journalist went in, she went to the village, she looked at the house, she described the house, the address, the family. And I think they did investigate it, but then I think they found out like she probably studied it and she probably forgot about it. I forgot the story. I remember watching it. There was a huge investigation whether did she really like. But this psychiatrist, these children, when he studies them, the details, he actually has a team that they will go investigate, like the villages, the areas from around the world. Like he sent a family to Germany to find the parents who are his kids, like his kids in the past life.
Okay, because, like what you're saying again has sort of an overlap with the deja vu again. Like, so sometimes people would go, like, for instance, someone, it would be their first time ever in Italy. But all of a sudden they say, hey, you know what? I know this neighborhood. And you know what? At the end of this street, there is a house, and the house is number 42, and inside this house there is this and that. And when he really goes to the house, it's exactly like he described it. Something just clicks in their mind. So is it possible in past life regression for you to see real places that still exist until today, that you personally have never visited before?
I haven't seen anybody doing that, but the psychiatrist, the children he studies, they're giving him details about even names of people, how they died, the details of like the airplanes, and these are children.
And are these real things? Like this is real information?
They give him details that there's no way anybody could know. And because again, children, because he really has like he teaches, and he's very world known. He only has like 50 cases of kids, nothing to do with deja vu, like details. Whereas the guy who was a pilot in World War II, he told him the name of the plane, the number on the plane, the name of his buddy, how they blew up something, like details that nobody will know. Name of children, name of family, name of villages. And the family of the kids, like, we have no idea. None of the house has anything to do with it. outside of the world. It's very interesting.
Very interesting. Absolutely, indeed. Of course.
His research and videos are what's his name? Tucker, Jim Tucker, very well known. But there is a neuroscience, not a surgical neurosurgeon, a neurosurgeon, I think. I think some of the people know him. He's written books, Proof of Heaven. This guy is a 100% atheist. He is a brain surgeon. He studied neuroscience. He's a neuroscientist. You know how brilliant these guys are. He went to a coma for 3 months, and he was brain dead, completely brain dead. He has meningitis. I forgot his name. Ibn Alexander, Dr. Alexander. He got out of the coma, and he told them where he was in the life between the spiritual world. And people laughed at him. He was like, I don't know. There's no way I could make this up because my brain was dead. There was nothing going on. And he studied to see, where did these come from? His brain was fried. There was nothing. So he's like, is there super consciousness? Is there something out there outside our consciousness? And when he described things that people told him about a sister that he even didn't know that she died, that he had a sister before he was born. He said he met his sister. She told him, I am here, here. So he talked to his parents. They're like, yeah, you did have a sister that died like 15 years before you were born. He described what she looked like. He described her death. He met people. He was given messages. So he wrote down the book. It's called Proof of Heaven. So what I do in past life, do you remember the scene when I say I take you to the spiritual world?
Yeah.
People experience what he experienced. But I personally ask, did they read his book? Did they not read his book? Did they read other books? Because it's stuff that popular knowledge that people say, oh yeah, I saw that. Like there's different places that they go, they describe everything the same way, they use the same words. And I asked them, like, did you ever read any books? Like, no. I'm like, okay, interesting that you mentioned the same words. Maybe there is something, I don't know, I'm not gonna guess, right? They use the same description. I'm like, okay, are you sure you didn't read anything? I'm like, no. They're like,
yes,
nothing.
Interesting indeed.
I'll
Yes.
start questioning. I'm like, nothing. They're like, nothing. I'm like, do you have any spiritual ties to Buddhism? Do you watch Netflix? Like, nothing. I'm like, okay, what the hell? Something is out there, because I'm shocked that they described exactly things that everybody else in my session sees. And I don't say anything. I know I don't say anything. I just say, where are you?
Wow, it's yeah, like it's a real it's really mind-boggling,
Well, I can share one little thing, because I'm curious about it. I'm not a believer or anything. I like more science, but I do know in U of T, when I was asking this, because my teacher was like, I don't believe in any of this stuff. She's like, it's therapy, just believe it. You don't want to believe it, it's up to you, but it's therapeutic. So I struggled going to a past life. When they were training on me, it took me like 5 times because I never believed in it. But anyways, I started researching. So you know how the DNA travels from family to family? The genes travel. They did find that in the pineal gland, it's a small little gland in the back of your head. It's like the size of a peanut, literally. Some of the DNA of memory DNA can actually travel through the genes. So my great-grandmother is Armenian. Let's say she died on the cross, being burnt alive, and she died from the traumatic fire. Through her DNA, I may have that, not the memory, but fear of fire. It may travel through my genetics, and I will have a fear of fire, not a memory.
Okay.
Memory does live not just in your brain, the memory does live in body parts as well, because when they do when I donate my body, I'm a donor. So when I die and I give you my heart and I have issues in my heart, memories in my heart will be transferred to you. And they did find people who do give body parts. Some of the memories from the dead patients are transferred to the new body. So memory doesn't only reside in the brain. The muscle has memory. which we know, right? Look at athletes. They do, like when I play piano in the beginning, I was training, but now I don't even look at the piano. I can play without even looking because my
Yes,
hand
yes, absolutely, absolutely.
memory is always there, but it could, maybe there is something that we haven't tapped on. I'm not gonna, put religion down. I do it in utmost respect. Like when somebody comes in, they want to do past life, especially when I do spiritual life, I know where we're going. I treat it with all respect, whether I believe it or not. I don't want to get there. I don't want to tap in the unknown, or what if it's true. So I treat it with all respect. Whether I believe it or not, right?
Absolutely, yeah, and yeah, it's really a very interesting experience, and really thank you very much, Elise, for taking us through this journey here.
Good.
I'm sure, absolutely, our viewers would be very interested to know more about it and really try it for themselves. So at the end of this interview, I really thank you very much for being with us, and really looking forward to having you time and again with us. Thank you very much, Elise. And dear viewers, if we were to come to a conclusion here, or to try to recap, H.G. Wells, he wrote The Time Machine, and this was, like an incredible book at the time, and then it became a box office hit in the cinema, and they made many, many different versions of it. So it was and still is a dream to travel in a past life, and to see the past and maybe the future. But there are two sides to the story here. Some people see it in a spiritual way. Some people see it in a purely scientific way. But just like what you said, we should respect all of these different views. And anyways, I believe that would be a real eye-opener. So because it's not induced by your hypnotherapist, but it's induced by you, by your experience, your age, your gender, your life experience, your socioeconomic class, what kind of trauma did you face in your life. All these things play a pivotal role, really, in taking you to one life more than the other, or in taking you to specific life, not the other. So all these things need to be kept in mind. At the end of the day, humans were, are, and will always be a very big mystery. Dear viewers, until we meet again, thank you very much for watching. Please take good care.